It is a Hockey Thursday. This is episode 112 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy, as always. 13 lines already of the 14 games, Brett. We'll get into that in a second. Let's talk about how we did last episode, though. A little bit better. I went 2-4, unfortunately. Lost my pick of the pod, but Brett, you really did a lot better.
You lost your pick of the pod? No
We
way!
we went against each other. It was a fantastic game. West Virginia did get the win, but they did not cover, unfortunately.
It was a great game. Both teams at one point each had 10-point leads, Higgins, and it ends up being a 1-point game. So I just can't believe you lost the pick of the pod. That's so shocking. But I guess what actually is really shocking is I had a winning episode, Higgins. So there you go. Two shockers.
Absolutely. But you didn't get your Levy lock with the Heat
No.
plus 7.5, unfortunately. We'll get into our picks at the end there. Beginners Boulevard, we're going to talk about handicapping, which is we are not. That's researching statistics to help make your picks. We do that. Sometimes we do some gut picks, though, as well, and you can tell sometimes with our records. But we're just having fun.
Well, most of the time we're handicapping, but yeah, sometimes your fiance's team is playing in the AFC Championship game and you gotta bet against Patrick Mahomes for the sake of the family. Or, sometimes the Flyers are opening up
Yes.
on, the season, or the Rangers opening up the season. We're gonna be on those, but generally speaking, Higgins, we try and do our research here.
And we're honest when we are being fans and betting with our heart instead of our mind. We do
Exactly.
handicap a lot. We do have a lot of logistical reasons and a lot of analytical reasons, but there's nothing better than betting with the heart and truly rooting for your game, both in spirit and in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better when your team sends you home with a victory and a little money in your pocket. That's the best.
Yes. Unfortunately, we do not have the Super Bowl this weekend, Brett. We've had football every weekend for so long. Not even the Pro Bowl this year, but we're going to have the Super Bowl next weekend. Some updated lines. Well, the spread's the same. The odds have slightly changed depending on what book you're in, but it's still Kansas City -3, Tampa Bay +3. Tampa Bay is going to be in their own stadium, but it'll be interesting to see what that's like in a Super Bowl atmosphere, Brett. I still don't know where I'm leaning yet with this. How about you?
Yeah, so here's what is holding me up from betting this game right now, Higgins, is I'm concerned about the Chiefs line. They're going to be down two tackles in this game. So you never want to be down one tackle, let alone two, against that Tampa pass rush. But all that being said, do I really want to go and bet against Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, all those weapons? Not really. So I'm just, gonna wait this one out a little bit. Who knows? There's a lot of time for COVID issues to potentially arise as well, Higgins. Practice injury practices. So we'll see what happens. Things could change here, but I don't have any strong feelings right now. And my biggest reason for not having any strong feelings is I'm waiting on the Chiefs O line.
You mentioned a very good point, too, about COVID issues potentially. There's still a lot of time for those issues to potentially arise, so betting closer to the game may be smarter for specifically that reason in this year of chaos. But, Brett, let's move to the NHL where they've sectioned off based off their division. That's how they're playing their season so far. So we have a lot of data of common opponents against each other. It's also a lot of rivalries. So when you look at some of these games, there's some already recent history that you can work off of. Like in this Calgary and Montreal game that I'm going to be on. I'm going to be on Montreal at home on the money line at -120, and that's because they've only lost two games in overtime or in a shootout, and that was to Vancouver and to Toronto. Well, just recently, the Flames lost back-to-back games to Toronto. Before that, they did win both games against the Canucks. However, I think Montreal at home, they are 4 And O, like I said, unless it goes to overtime, and I'll take my chances in overtime with the Canadians. So lock in that on the money line.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Higgins. Like you, I'm just kind of taking the data that there is and trying to see what we can do. I'm also taking what I saw last year in the bubble and trying to see if any of that carries over as well because there's still no fans at these games. So just trying to take in as much data as possible, like you said. But I liked your read on the Montreal Calgary game. I'm going to be on a few games tomorrow night, but I'm going to be on one specifically. Tampa Bay travels to Carolina, Raleigh, nice little town, Raleigh, in North Carolina there. But Carolina plus 125 on the money line. That's where you can find me, Higgins. These teams are 3-1 and 2-1 respectively. And Carolina has not played a home game yet. So, home opener, I'll take plus 125 in the home opener for the Hurricanes. Sure, why not?
Carolina's a weird atmosphere that they've created at home. I don't know what that's going to be like without fans, but they already get some beef with what they do on the ice together in like pregame and postgame rituals. They're very interesting. It's entertaining. So I like the move of the underdog home opener. It's a very interesting situation there in a division rivalry, I would say, between Tampa and Carolina, who are in the same division outside of these COVID years.
Yeah, no, it's you raise a good point because I do think Carolina's home crowd is one that may affect the game a little more than some other arenas, but I don't know, Higgins. It just seems like these are two pretty good teams that are evenly matched, and I think it's really just a numbers thing for me on this game. I'm really taking plus 125 in a home team that's a true 50-50 in my mind.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Let's talk about the game that you and I are both on, though, Brett. That's going to be the Kings versus the Wild. Now, they've already played against each other recently. The Kings got that a 2-1 victory, but that was in Minnesota. This one's also in Minnesota, so we'll see. Are they going to get back to back in Minnesota? I don't know.
Well, the Wild are not very good at home. They're 1-2, and the Kings are 2-1 on the road. The Kings have also won two games this year with Jonathan Quick in net, and Peterson has not started back-to-back games, and he started on Tuesday. So I like the fact that is in net. He's 2-0. And I like the fact that they won in Minnesota already. And I like the fact that Minnesota hasn't played well on their home ice thus far. So I'm just going to ride those trends. They're early trends. There's not a lot of data to back it. What are we? We're 7 games into the season if you're a Minnesota fan. You're also 7 games into the season if you're a Kings fan. But you're not 7 games in if you're all these teams fans. Like the Stars have only played 3 games, for instance. So uh, you know, there's a little bit of we're early in the season, and I just I'm just gonna back these early trends, Higgins. That's a feel mostly, but I do have some data to support it.
And I like that. I like that pick. I'm not going to be on either side, though. I just think there's going to be a decent amount of scoring in this game, so you're going to find me on the over, especially because there's good value there. It's a 5.5 over under right now as of Wednesday night when I'm taking this, plus 110. Great odds. You're getting favorable odds on that low over under already. And when you look at it, both of these teams' offenses have the capability to score. And when you talked about Quick, who lets up a little bit more goals potentially, the Wild, they've scored 4 goals in a win once. They've scored 3 goals twice already. One was in a win, one was in a loss. The Kings, they've scored 6 in a win. They've scored 4 in a win. I like my chances. 5.5 is not too much in this day and age of hockey, especially if a few power plays happen. If the refs get into this game, so 5.5 plus 110. I really like that play.
Yeah, I like it especially for the quick factor. You mentioned it. He's currently allowing over 3 goals against per game. Meanwhile, Peterson down at 2.38. So we won't know who's going to be in net probably till game time officially, but we can infer based on the information we have, and we can think it's going to be quick because Peterson hasn't started 2 games in a row all season, and he started on Tuesday, Higgins.
Absolutely. And the reasoning of why I'm taking that over in the Kings versus Wild game is kind of also why I'm taking the over in the Ducks Coyotes game. Now, if you look at their goalies, the Ducks, fantastic. Gibson starting fantastic, a 1.67 average, but he started 3 games to start the season. Then Miller came in. He just started another 3 games. I expect maybe Miller's going to start on Thursday night. He averages like 3.11 instead in terms of goals allowed. That's a lot more favorable to a 5.5. And then when you look over at the Coyotes, they have someone that allows 2.5 and another that allows 3, and Kemper and Ranta. So 5.5, again, a very low over under in this day and age of hockey right now with how quick they're playing, with how much the refs are getting into some of these games, especially without fans. So I expect that to also be a high scoring game right there.
Okay, I think I like your play in the Kings Wild over a little bit more, but I see why you're going with it in both. Good value on both. It's not the 6.5 number that you sometimes see. It's not the normal 6. So why not take a swing at both?
And if you think about it, if I only hit one of those two over unders that I'm playing,
You
I still
cover.
make out a little bit over. And then I just have my earlier pick of the Canadians money line in play, and that they're a slight favorite. So I like it there. I like that play.
Yeah, you can't. You definitely can't knock that play. I agree. If you're gonna take two, might as well take the two 5.5 plus values and root for some penalties, Higgins.
And let's get into Moneyline Magic, though, Brett. It was a fantastic basketball game on Tuesday night between some big rivals, Oklahoma and Texas, but Texas was without their head coach, Shaka Smart. KT Turner filled the shoes. First time as a head coach, I heard it was when I was watching a little bit of the broadcast. But OU would be up 43-34 at halftime after Texas would spend the entire second half catching up.
Yeah, we'll jump in with about 4:52 remaining, Higgins, because this is when Kai Jones started to take over the game for the Longhorns. He was able to cut the lead to 6. About a minute later, he would make another big play for the Longhorns as they'd find Hepa for a big 3 to cut OU's lead to 5. So maybe KT Turner got a little something going here in the second half for the Longhorns, but no one would score again, Higgins, till the 116 mark in the second half. 116 remaining in the game. And of course, it's Kai Jones, the guy we just mentioned, slams it home for the Longhorns, cuts the lead to 3 for Texas.
Yeah, he had a few good plays, a few good slam dunks in that game, too. Reeves would miss a 3 on the other end for Oklahoma, and Matt Coleman for Texas would make a layup with 52 seconds left. Texas is down 1, but you just heard that name, Matt Coleman, after the Oklahoma timeout. He would end up fouling Reeves, and he would convert on both free throws, giving OU a 80-77 lead, 3 points. Texas would have to call timeout, isn't that right, Brett?
Yeah, Texas has to call timeout. You mentioned it earlier. Shaka Smart's not there. It's KT Turner. And he gets a 3 for Andrew Jones. No good. But rebound Texas. Oklahoma smartly fouls because they have a 3-point lead. Higgins, 2 free throws is not enough shots to come back from 3. But Texas would still have a chance. They call timeout smartly after the free throw. They get a chance to line up the defense and they foul Jalen Hill. And Jalen Hill would actually miss the free throw for OU, but Texas can't secure the rebound. OU gets the rebound. They end up fouling again. Texas ironically misses the next rebound, but Texas can't get a shot off and they end up losing by 1. Great foul by Oklahoma down the stretch there.
Yes, that was a fantastic foul down the stretch. The last minute of basketball is nerve wracking, and you see it time and again how long of a minute can actually be. In basketball, a minute lasts forever. In football, a minute lasts forever. It's shocking how much you can make of time when you use it efficiently or if inefficiently.
And replay reviews, right?
And replay reviews and timeouts and TV commercials and some more timeouts and the just general whistles and nonsense that also goes on that makes it even longer and great. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Fanatics. Fanatics is the world's largest collection of official fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. If you enjoy our show and are looking to buy a new jersey, sweatshirt, or hat, you can support us by going to podgo.co/fanatics and getting 25% off your next order. That's podgo.co/fanatics. Fanatics officially licensed everything.
Well, I may have to go get an Austin Reeves jersey if you're an OU backer. Oh, I guess they don't sell college jerseys anymore. So you may have to get a generic Oklahoma basketball jersey if you're a big Oklahoma basketball fan.
Or you might have to find someone that can get you something from the student store. That's a little too hard, though. That's not from Fanatics. Let's go into the NBA, though. We only have a few lines in the NBA so far of the games. We have the Portland Houston game, Golden State Phoenix, and the Lakers Detroit game. Neither you or I are on the Trailblazers Rockets game. I just didn't have a really feel for that yet. How about you?
Yeah, I thought Houston played pretty well in the game against Washington. Kind of makes sense. John Wall's first game against the Wizards. It was Westbrook's first game against the Rockets back in Houston. So I guess there was a little motivation on both sides, you could say. But DeMarcus Cousins played well in that one. I thought John Wall played decent. He didn't shoot particularly great, but he went over his points prop Higgins. So you could tell he was motivated. So that's always good.
Always nice to go over on your points prop. That always makes yourself and them happy.
Yeah,
And
exactly. So I don't know if Houston's motivated the way Portland's beat up right now. I think Houston can win that game for sure, but any given night, Damian Lillard can go off and carry a team. So yeah, that's a stay away for me.
absolutely. The game I'm going to be on is the Warriors Suns game, and it's just the matter of who's healthier. I mean, the Suns, Devin Booker's listed as day to day, Damian Jones is out, Saric is out, then you got Payne, who's also day to day, and then the Warriors, other than Klay Thompson, who's out for the season, um, they don't have anyone on their injury report right now. So I'm pretty confident taking Golden State on the money line plus 105 in a game that's basically listed as a toss up in my eyes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't love Phoenix this year. Chris Paul's, a great point guard, obviously. He's a great leader, but they looked a little bit better than I probably expected. So I, I guess I would generally just side with you because I think they'll come back down to the mean a little bit. But Golden State made some lineup changes against Minnesota, and they've played a little bit better since making those lineup changes. So maybe that's what it takes. So I think Golden State plus 105 in this one's fair. You see it as a pick 'em. I think the spread's right on the money. So again, I stayed away, but I think if you read it as a pick 'em, Higgins, take the value.
Absolutely. And I really do see it as a pick 'em, even though it is in Phoenix. I will note that it is Warriors Suns game in Phoenix, but like we've said, there's no fans at most of these games. Maybe a few fans at some of these NBA games I'm starting to see, like in Florida, but that isn't in Arizona yet, is it?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I saw that. The Heat have like these COVID sniffing dogs, which kind of confuses me. Like, can you sniff out COVID? I mean, I guess they had to get it approved by someone, so I guess there's some science behind it. I don't know. It was very confusing when I read that.
There's been cancer sniffing dogs, so who knows? I mean, coronavirus, though, I think it's hard just because of the amount of symptoms, but we're not doctors. Let's get into our picks. Last game of the day, Lakers Pistons. Brett, this spread was just too big for me.
Well, gambling's hard. I might as well become a doctor. So yeah, this game seems difficult. Both these teams played on Wednesday night, but I don't really think the Lakers are gonna come into Detroit as motivated. They just played the big game on ESPN on Wednesday night, Higgins. And to come in and play what a 3-win Detroit team, it's kind of tough to get up for those games on a back to back. I could see some players end up sitting in this one. So Detroit 10.5. It's a big line. You need a lot more things to go right to cover a 10.5 point spread than a few little things to go wrong. So I'm just gonna take Detroit and the number here. It's not that I think Detroit's a good team. I just think that number's too big on a back to back, playing a bad team, especially when you were the primetime game a night ago.
Yeah, and the Lakers will already be without Antetokounmpo, and so, I mean, right there, right there. It, he's listed as
Yeah,
out. He's listed as out. That it's just plain and simple like that in my
poor
eyes.
poor Costas.
Poor Costas. Let's get into our college basketball, Brett. Lots of games tomorrow. Not a lot of lines as we're recording on Wednesday night. Two major games in the Power Five. We have Oregon State at USC, which is a rematch of a game that was just played very recently, and then we also have a TCU Kansas game.
Yeah, Oregon State USC is interesting because I think that number's big, Higgins. But the way the juice is right now, with the added juice minus 112 on USC minus 11.5, that tells me they think USC is gonna cover. So I uh I really want to bet Oregon State here because it was so close last time, but I can't do it. The sports books are giving me a weird number there, and that's giving me enough to stay away.
I understand that. That is a red flag. You're absolutely right. It could very well be a trap game. You not getting sucked into it. I'm deciding to go with a different game. TCU Kansas. It's a one of a few ranked games that are going on the night. We don't have a lot of those other lines. I saw Gonzaga and a few others are playing. Kansas ranked 15th hosting TCU. I'm going to take the over in this one. Over 136 and a half for two teams that so far on the season are basically hitting their overs 500% or a little bit better, averaging points wise a little bit over the line in terms of that. And you look recently at Kansas, they've hit 6 of their last 7. TCU, they have hit more unders than overs recently, but I trust in Kansas more than I need in TCU. I think Kansas will be able to get that, and as long as TCU can keep pace a little bit, the line's 14. If it stays around that and it's not a blowout, I think the over hits.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned that Kansas has gone over in 6 of their last 7. And when I think of Kansas, I think of more of a defensive team this year. This is not our typical Kansas Jayhawks that are going to run away with the Big 12. This is a team that you can kind of see some of the effects of a looming investigation from the NCAA over the last 3 or 4 years over this program. And maybe they haven't gotten their number 1 and 2 recruits, and their 3 and 4 recruits have come, and they're great players, and they're the number 15 team in the country. Higgins, let's not take anything away from these guys, but it's not number one Kansas that we're used to seeing out there. So uh, I was surprising to hear that their overs are coming in so often, and maybe that is the play in this one. But Marcus Garrett, for me, Higgins is one of the best defenders in the country, and when I think Kansas, I think defense. So maybe this over under set a little lower than you would think, because people do have this defensive thought when they think of Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, the line has already gone up at least a full point according to ESPN's tracker that I'm looking at right now. So who knows how much it could go up by Thursday morning, by Thursday near game time, 136 and a half, maybe very low by the time you're listening to this, per se. Maybe I'm getting on it that early. That's the benefit of recording this at night sometimes is we don't get a lot of lines, but we get a lot of early value potentially.
Yeah, no, it's nice. We get it before some of the whales can get in, or some of these other betters can get in. We're on it first.
West Coast time zone benefits, and you're an East Coast benefactor of that right now, Brett.
Yeah, I stay up, watch the games, Higgins. You gotta watch all the games, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Let's get into our pick of the pot and Levy lock, though, Brett. And like I said, the early value, I'm going to go over mine real quick again because the over under in that Kansas TCU game, 136 and a half, I think it might sit a little low right now. It's probably going to go up higher. I'm going to lock that in right now. I would take it probably up until 138 and a half, 139.
Okay. So anything under 136 and a half, everyone should take. I'm
Yeah.
just messing with you, Higgins. You're going to get hot very soon. It's going to be dangerous because all these people are going to be fading you. They're going to lose quick. Um, but the LA Kings are going to be my Levy lock because you mentioned it, Higgins. They already beat Minnesota once this year. So plus 145 on the money line value there for a team that I've already seen win in Minnesota. I'll take that value. So it's strictly a number play there. I don't necessarily think that the Kings are these world beaters or anything like that, but they have a winning record on the road. Minnesota has a losing record at home. The Kings have beaten Minnesota. The goalie with the better records in. So I just like the Kings in this matchup.
Yep, there you have it, though. The NHL pick with the Kings plus 145. I'm going with some college basketball. There's a ton of hockey games. I saw a lot of value. I had to stay off a few of them. I made 3 picks in the NHL, though. I gave you a few. This has been episode 112 of The Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you again after the weekend.